Fujica, a place for budding and aspiring entrepreneurs. Guys, I want to welcome you to another week here at the channel. If you are new to this channel, I definitely want to thank you for stopping on by. You guys, if this is the first, second, third, or more time that you've been by this channel, I really would like to suggest that you like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and then hit that bell notification so that you're notified every time I drop new content, which lately has been about Wednesday and Sunday of every week. I am launching my Home Care Academy, which will be October 14th and 15th of this year. And it actually will be live in person in October. So I'm super excited to be launching that, and I hope that you will join me. So with that, let's transition to today's content. So today I want to discuss with you the pros and cons of opening a non-medical home care agency. Now, between you, I, and this camera, I don't think there are any cons with starting a home care agency, but because I may be a little biased, I came up with 4 of each. So if you were interested in that, then let's get started. The first tip that I have for you is there is a licensing process. And this is a con because I know a lot of you, that's the reason you're reaching out to me. You're reaching out to me because it's hard for you to get through the process. Some of you don't understand the process. There are some of you that really just need help getting through it. And listen, I am here to help. So if you do need to reach out to me, this is kind of what led me to develop my licensing course and of course now my academy. But for those of you who are looking for additional assistance, feel free to reach out to me via email to see where we can start, which is simplyfujica@yahoo.com. And then you can also see what classes or courses that I have available to you at simplyfujica.com. Now, there are 4 states that are not regulated, and so you don't have to worry about the licensing process. But for the rest of us, there is some type of licensing process, and you want to make sure that you are in regulation to make sure you are compliant in the state in which you operate. The second tip that I have for you, or the second con that I have for you, are the startup costs. Now, some of us have been able to kind of tuck money aside for several months to ensure we have the startup costs. And for those of you who are not familiar with that, I have done a video on what the startup costs are for the state of California. I will make sure that's probably a card above, and I'll make sure it's in the video description. But you want to make sure you know what those costs are, and then also how you're going to come up with those. I have talked to several people who really have this passion. They're really ready to get started, but they really don't know how they're going to fund up that startup. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of plan put together. Again, I've done a couple of videos on how you can finance or how you can fund your home care agency. And I've also done a couple of videos on putting together that business plan so you could really think through what your expenses are going to look like, not only to start up, but then to continue as you operate for the first few months. So I'll make sure all of that information, all of those resources are in the video description for your viewing pleasure. The third con that I have for you is really a con if this is your personality. The con is you are solely responsible for the success of your business. Now, there are some of us who our personality is more in line with going to a job, being told what to do, you know what you're supposed to do, you do what you're supposed to do, and then you clock out and go home. Okay? If that's you, nothing wrong with that. I did that for years myself. But there's another group of us who really want to drive the business. We want to push the business. And when all of that is going well and things are happening the way we anticipate, it's great, right? But what about when it's not? And you really don't have 1,000 people behind you to lift you back up and motivate you to keep moving forward. So this is the only reason why I have that as a con, is because you literally have to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and continue to move forward. You have to continue to push the innovative needle. You have to continue to drum up different ways to pursue getting clients, to make sure that your employees are doing what they're supposed to be doing. You're the one developing the training. You're developing the operations. It is truly you. And then eventually that you should grow into a team, right? But until you're able to do that, it solely depends on you. Now, with that con, you know me, I am a half glass full type of person. So I'm here to tell you, yes, it depends on you, but you also can do it. If you have that in the inside of you that says, listen, I need to do this business, I want to do the business, this is my passion, then by all means go for it, and you can do it. The fourth con that I have for you, and I almost feel so weird, this goes against my spirit to say it, is people leadership. Anyone who knows me knows that any job that I've had, even owning my business, I love the people aspect of it. However, I talk to so many people that this is just not your positive. This is not just where you shine. And it's not the good part, right? Like most of us love relaying with people. We love building relationships with people. So that part of it is okay. What I'm talking about is when it's time to do disciplinary action. It's when this person is now starting to fall, to the other side of not performing well. And you have to start having these critical conversations. I don't think any of us enjoy it. However, it is a critical part of your organization to make sure you are addressing these types of issues. So this is why I have it as a con, because even though nobody really enjoys those types of conversations, there are some people, this is just not where they shine. And so this is why I have it as a con. Okay, so now we're going to jump to the other side of the coin, which is my favorite, the pros of starting your home care agency. So the first pro that I have is pride of ownership. For me, it felt so good moving towards and working at my own business. There was no one to tell me what to do, when to do it. And I felt good about the contributions that I was making because I know it was towards my business. So I think there's a lot of you out there. I know I have talked to a lot of people, and I think I have shared with you that you get to a point in your life sometimes where you're just like, okay, there's got to be more than this. And for a lot of us, that translates into us starting and building our own businesses. And so that's what it certainly meant for me. And it felt so good to actually make that transition. Not to hope, not to wish, not to regret that I didn't do it, but to actually put together a plan and move towards building my business. That is, to me, has been one of the most fulfilling things in my life. The second is an absolute pro, which is you get to help others. And a lot of times you go into this business because of the passion that you have for helping other people, because the passion that you have for caring for others. And so what's beautiful about this is your business is surrounding something you're passionate about, which is the care for others. And so if this is your business model, if this is what you do, if this is who you are at your core, then you know why I created this as a pro. There's nothing like being able to go into work and do what you truly love to do each and every day as a job. The third pro that I have for you, I'm going to describe it as an entrepreneur bug because I have really no other way to label it. So what I mean by that, and I've talked about this in another video, is once you give yourself permission to pursue entrepreneurship, then you kind of start exploring other things that you maybe wouldn't have earlier in your career, right? So you really start saying, you know what? Now that this is stable, I have stood up this business, it's running, it's doing well, you almost start thinking, okay, so what's next? What's the next thing that I'm doing? And so you kind of get bit by that entrepreneur bug because you allow yourself to start exploring what else you can do. And it's a beautiful thing, really, because once you've achieved a level of success, most successful people want to achieve that next rung of success. And so I call it the entrepreneur bug. I know in my life, I'm like, okay, what am I doing? I'm planning a year at a time. What things am I going to try to achieve this year? And so it is an amazing thing. I notice it's also contagious, because then, of course, you start seeking out people who are doing things in their lives, and you just come together and you're just this big group of achievers. And so it's nice to be a part of, and it's absolutely nice to experience. So entrepreneur bug, absolutely a pro. The fourth pro that I have is probably the most important in my life, is the influence of the next generation. Or some of us like to call that your legacy that you leave behind by becoming an entrepreneur. I can't remember which video it was on the top of my head now, but I remember not too long ago having a conversation with my 13-year-old, and he actually heard me speaking about something that's happening in our business. And when I got off the phone, my son asked me this question, and if I didn't blink twice, I would have been thinking I was speaking to an experienced manager about a potential personnel issue. And I was so proud in that moment, because I'm thinking, wow, whatever it is that he decides to do, he has a leg up, because he already knows how to deal with people in a humble way, to where people will like him and respect him at the same time, regardless of what the conversation is. So in my mind, I really respected the fact that, wow, those are little seeds that I'm planting in my children right away. Here, my little one, he's developing his tagline and his logo for his business. You know, for me, I always foster those conversations. I always tell them how wonderful and nice they are, because listen, he's 9. So you can imagine he's only going to be building from here. So your kids are watching you. They see what you're doing, and they see the freedom that you're experiencing. Yes, there's some hard work involved, right? We always talk about that sweat equity. We always talk about the hustle that you have to have in order to survive these businesses, you know, being employed with these businesses. So your children get to see the payoff that comes along with working hard. So that's how I'm going to end this video. Actually, this was a fun video for me. I would love to turn it over to you now and hear some of your comments. Listen, provide in the comments for me, what pros do you have for going into business? What cons do you have for going into business? I would love to have this conversation with you in the comments section. Guys, that's all I have for this video. Before we go, don't forget to like the video if you haven't already. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and share with others about anyone who's looking for this type of content, if they're interested in starting their home care agencies. And then hit that bell notification so that you're notified every time I release a new video. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. Stay blessed.